guys, I wanted to do a quick video on the different stages of love. This is something that comes up a lot in my practice and something I find myself explaining to a lot of the couples I work with, so I figured it would be beneficial for you to hear as well. So every relationship goes through stages, the first one being romantic love. And romantic love can last as few as 2 days to as long as 2 years. During romantic love, there's all these chemical changes that happen in our body that cause us, it kind of feels like we're on drugs. So just to tell you about the chemical changes that happen. For one, we notice a surge in dopamine, which is a really feel-good hormone. Every time we're with our love object or thinking about them or like interacting in any way, you get this rush of dopamine. And that's the same neurotransmitter that is in large part responsible for addiction, because when we drink alcohol, we get rushes of dopamine. When we do certain drugs, we get rushes of dopamine. And that becomes addictive. That rush is amazing. So that's the first thing that happens. So you know, when you're drunk, for example, your inhibitions are lowered, you might be willing to say more stuff than you would normally say if you were sober. Well, the same thing happens in romantic love. So you're just this like open, loving, warm, totally uninhibited version of yourself because of the dopamine. So the second piece of what happens is your serotonin actually drops. And serotonin is partly associated with happiness, but it's also associated with obsessive thoughts. So people who have obsessive compulsive disorder and can't stop thinking about things, they have lower levels of serotonin. So whether you have OCD or not is irrelevant in romantic love. Your serotonin levels are going to drop and you're going to be obsessed with your love object. I want to talk to him or her. I want to text, call, be around all the time. You're just like obsessed. And if you've ever been in romantic love, you know that it is exhilarating and exhausting. You aren't as productive. I remember I had a professor in grad school. I was like so in love with this boyfriend I had in grad school. And she pulled me aside one day and said, "Are you okay? Like, are you starting to do drugs? What's going on with you?" I didn't even notice that I was acting any different, but she literally thought I was doing drugs because I wasn't as focused in class. I wasn't as productive. Like, I just wasn't doing my normal, being my normal self. So romantic love is a basically drug-crazed, amazing feeling. And the other thing that happens is, for those of you that are sexually active in relationships before getting married, most people are having sex a lot in the beginning, and every time we orgasm, we release oxytocin. And oxytocin is a bonding hormone. So you've got the dopamine that keeps you coming back, you've got the serotonin that makes you obsess over your partner, and you've got the oxytocin that is making you feel really bonded to each other every time you have sex. Okay, so that is the amazing cocktail of romantic love. Unfortunately / fortunately, it can't last forever. Like I said, you don't get a lot done when you're in romantic love, so it's not realistic to feel that way all the time. Once romantic love starts to fade, the rose-colored glasses come off, and we start to see our partner, flaws and all, kind of for who they really are. But then we also start to project our childhood wounding on them. And during this stage, after the romantic love wears off, this is called the power struggle. Now, many couples break up during the power struggle. A, because they don't know it's normal to go through all of this, or B, because they don't have the tools to navigate it, or C, because they think, you changed. Why did you change? You were so perfect for the first 6 months, and then suddenly it's like you flipped a switch and you were different. The only switch that was flipped is the chemicals in your brain started to change and even out a little bit, and you could see clearly again. Like, basically you got off drugs. So the power struggle is totally normal. And if you're going through it in your relationship right now and you feel like your partner's totally different, it might just be that you've taken off your rose-colored glasses and you're seeing them for who they really are, flaws and all. And if this is somebody who you really love and really want to make it work, you got to get through the power struggle. And you got to do that by communicating openly, maybe by getting support from a therapist to help you do that. And also recognizing how much of the stuff that you're upset about is their stuff and how much of it is your own reflections, like your own projecting your childhood wounding onto them. Because we do a lot of that in relationships, and it's almost all unconscious, so it's not like you are intentionally doing it or even aware of it until you work with somebody like me or another therapist and you realize, oh my gosh, I am really doing a lot of that. And it's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just, it is what it is. That's how our human brain works. So after the power struggle, if you navigate it, if you learn how to communicate, you learn how to accept each other, warts and all, then you get into what's called mature love or true love. And this is a much calmer love. It's not, the frenzy feeling of romantic love. So it's a little less exciting. You probably will want to have sex a little less. You might feel like the romance is fading a little bit, but it's mature. And you're communicating about things, you're seeing each other for who you really are, not, projecting your old childhood wounding on each other, or wearing rose-colored glasses and not seeing who you really are or your partner really is. And this can be a cycle. So you might, get through to mature love, you get through the power struggle, and then you might fall back in romantic love for a little while and be like, oh, I feel so close to my partner, I'm so in love, everything's amazing. And then maybe you backslide a little bit and you go back into the power struggle. But hopefully if you learned the tools that you need to communicate effectively, you can get out of the power struggle faster this time and get into mature love. And so you may see this cycle happening a lot in your relationship, or you may just stay in mature love. But it's pretty rare that you don't get back into a power struggle at some point. So I just wanted to explain that to you guys so you kind of had an idea of what's, normal and what's not in a relationship. It is totally normal to have that initial romantic love feeling fade and to start thinking your partner is a totally different person. And that's just when, you hear relationships take work, that's when the real work sets in. If it's somebody that you can see a future with and you want to commit to. I hope you guys found this helpful. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments and I will do my best to answer them. Thanks.